Finally, yeah, we have been connected for quite some time.
Quite some time,
Yeah.
yes. We admire your work.
Thank you very
Even
much.
before
Thank you
we
very much.
started recording, the team was saying that how they love Richard's storytelling and his content online. Hey everyone, before we begin this next episode of the Hello Mentor podcast, I just want to say if you're job searching or hiring, check out hiredly.com. We are not just another job platform. We make it easier to find the jobs that people actually want, and we help companies stand out to hire the right talent. So there's a lot of smart tech and there's a lot of human touch. That's Hiredly. So you can head to hiredly.com and give it a go. Hey everyone, it's another episode of the Hello Mentor podcast. We have Richard Kerr with us today. Hi Richard.
Hey man.
Hi, hello, welcome. Maybe you could give a brief introduction for those who don't know what you do.
Yeah, my name is Richard Kerr. I tell stories on my social media platforms. So the stories that I tell are normally topics like entrepreneurship, technology, marketing, and mindset, which I believe those are the core four things if you want to build a business today. So I've been sharing stories of entrepreneurs, how they started, not just from Malaysia, but basically from all around the world. And I believe storytelling is the way to go. And it has helped to build traction on my social media platforms, getting people to understand what I do. And from that, I built a business around it. So today I run a social media marketing agency where we help our customers and partners grow their presence on social media using the power of storytelling.
Right.
So in essence, that's what I do.
Right. Wow, I love it. I mean, we've always known social media was a big thing. And it's it's one of these worlds where I think a lot of people try, but it's not that easy to crack it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. Platforms change, the algorithm change, but the underlying principle of leveraging on storytelling doesn't change. Because storytelling has been around for the last 30,000 years. It is something what humans can resonate with. Doesn't matter how the platforms change or the medium change. It is always something that people can leverage on, and of course, hopefully to that you can crack it, right? So that's what I believe in.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I kind of go back a little bit to your childhood? Because I always find that, entrepreneurs have interesting childhood somehow. I don't know why, but yeah, either something is missing or something is very abundant. So, you grew up in Tawau in Sabah, right?
Yes.
On the rubber plantation.
That's correct. So,
right. What was it like growing up pre-internet?
So like many of us, I think a lot of us, especially certain generations, we live without the internet compared to the Gen Zs today, right? They were born and then they have internet in front of them. So we live in that era where, Tawau was they call it like a final frontier of Malaysia, because it's the farthest that you can travel to from KL actually. So if you take your flight, it's going to take you 3 hours. Whereby if you travel within the region, you can easily get to Bali or even Bangkok with lesser time. Yeah, so they call it final frontier. So the place where I lived was a plantation. I actually was born and also grew up in the plantation. It was quite relatively far from everything back then. And the roads even back then were not tarmac. There was no tarmac, so you have to, especially if it rains heavily, then you have to be ready for it, because it's just gonna get muddy and gonna get stuck. So I lived in that kind of environment. So I think in many ways it gives you some ability to adapt to different things, and whereby if you see KL was much more developed back then. And in fact, I did not come to KL until I was 18. Actually, so I live most of the time in Sabah. I grew up there, and of course in the days of where you only had the dial-up internet, right? During that time, I guess the younger generations probably wouldn't understand also the dial-up internet, where you have to rely on the phone line. Even the phone line was not so good. Like you can connect to the internet, do your email, and then it just gets disconnected after 20 or 30 minutes, and you have to do it again. So I think those were the days that you get to learn many things. I also learned how to build websites back then.
Okay.
Yeah. So in those days, we were trying to promote Taobao actually, because at that point in time, nobody knew where Taobao was. And we tried learning how to build websites in a Microsoft front page. I don't know if you remember, it was one of the tools how to build websites. So
Microsoft
front page, yes. It was together with my classmate, Daniel. So we built a website about Taobao. So we did the research on the interesting places, the history. So we put everything together, uploaded to a free hosting site called GeoCities. In those days, it was a free site that you can just upload your website. So that became also a moment that I learned how to create content. Basically, that's basically content, right? And there's a story to that which eventually led to, which we can talk about it later, how I built a website when I was living in China that became a one-person e-commerce business, which I serve global customers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A one-person. Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, so we can talk about that later. So that was my early days or my childhood, growing up in Sabah.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
And you came to KL in 18, and you eventually went to study in the UK, right?
Yes. So when I came here, I studied in an unknown college called College Ikram, which is next to United in Kajan. So back then they offered this diploma in multimedia technology engineering. So in those days, multimedia was a thing. But I studied the engineering side, like what are the things behind software, because most people nowadays, they learn about, say, graphic design. They will learn about Adobe Photoshop, but we learn the infrastructure behind those software. So the math side, how does the calculation is being done, how does compression is done. So we learn the engineering side. So from there, I managed to get sponsorship to study in the UK. So I studied electronics engineering. After graduation, went to China. I lived there for 10 years before coming back to Malaysia.
I see.
Yeah.
Right.
Where are you from, by the way?
Where am I from?
Where's your kampong?
Where's my kampong? Oh, I also do. What's the definition of a kampong? So, I was born in Ipoh.
I see.
Because that's where my mother is from.
All right.
I think when we were born, she needed help with the family, extended family and all that.
I see.
But my dad's actually from Johor, like
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. But I lived in both. I lived in Ipoh, I lived in Johor.
In Muar also? Was it Muar?
Not in Muar. I lived in like Kota Tinggi, which is a bit north of Johor Bahru.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lived there for a few years when I was a lot younger.
I see.
Yeah, so if someone asks me where's my kampung or hometown, I'm not sure. I see different definitions of hometown.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, but I mostly lived in KL. I did live in the UK, but I said most of my life is in KL.
I see. Yeah. So you were in the UK also?
Yes.
Where was it?
I lived in the UK actually for 10 years. So
wow.
My entire adult life. So I went when I was 19, I came back at 29.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I left at 29.
Where were you in the UK?
Where as in like, in London.
In London?
Yeah, living in London.
I was in Surrey, so not too far.
Oh, okay.
Guildford.
Right.
So it's quite close to London. Okay.
I loved it. I loved experience of living there, but I also love home, which is Malaysia. Yeah.
There's always a lot of things that you can build here, right? So I feel.
Yes. And at the end of the day, it felt like a 10-year holiday for me.
Nice.
Holiday, what I mean by holiday was, it never really felt like home.
I see.
When I always felt I was a tourist, even though I was there for 10 years. It's very weird, very strange kind of feeling.
Can understand. Okay, so 10 years in UK.
And you were there, and what was it like actually? Because you obviously grew up in Taobao, Sabah, and then one day you're in the UK. Like, is it a very drastic change?
I would say somewhat, because imagine like say living 18 years in a small town and moved to at least KL. And KL, as you know, back then, it was also under transformation. We were hosting the Commonwealth Games back then. We launched Putrajaya, Cyberjaya, a new airport, the Petronas Twin Towers. So it was quite a transformational phase for me. And then, of course, going to the UK was like totally different again, a new exposure. And even when I went to China for the first time, that was back in 2003, it was also something huge for me.
Right.
So,
I read that you bought a one-way ticket to Beijing without a job. Is it?
it was actually sponsored by my sister,
Okay.
to be honest. But because my sister was already working in Beijing, and she said, hey, why don't you come here? It's like, just explore. I said, okay, because I didn't have no commitments and no girlfriend. So so I decided to just get the ticket and travel there. So my sister helped me in trying to get a job first.
Nice.
I mean, it wasn't so easy,
Right.
but I remember like flying to Beijing. Then I think I got sick on the plane. Then when the next day I have to go for this interview at the British Embassy actually.
Okay.
They wanted to hire an IT guy because I always into IT anyway. And of course I didn't get the job, but then kept on trying do a few things. Then they managed to get a job at this local company. It was a local company, but founded by the Singaporean guy. So they were a partner for the Beijing Olympics website. So they were providing the English content for the Beijing Olympics website. So I worked there for quite, just a few months. Then eventually joined an international school of Beijing, where I actually work as a help desk engineer. So that was also a thing that I learned how to, provide support to people, customer service, but in the technical side. So
I see.
it's quite enriching, right? I think it's quite enriching experience.
What made you want to go to Beijing in the first place?
It was just my sister, right?
Of course, your sister was there.
Just because no really a real commitment here yet, and just graduated, so why not? Yeah, so
I see.
yeah, so that was it lah. But of course, towards the when I was in Beijing, work at various places. Also worked for an American firm. Used to be involved in building a call center from scratch.
I see.
Where we brought in the trainers. We built a local team to serve US clients, and we set up the hardware and everything. So there was quite a lot of things that I get to learn. Yeah, until the last few years in Beijing, where I ventured into an accidental entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Yes, tell us about that. Is this one person e-commerce company?
Yes, that's correct.
How did that happen?
Okay, so like many of us, we normally try to solve our own problems. So of course, at that point in time, also wanted to do side gig. Things got really expensive in Beijing, like the rising costs. So why not we do a side gig, right? Try to get some extra income. So I've done many different things, like providing IT support to the teachers after work, fix their Wi-Fi, fix their computers. But I was really looking to something more sustainable, something that can have that recurring revenue. So one day, in those days, you have iPod, right? I don't know if you get the chance to use an iPod before the fourth generation with the black and white screen and the scroll wheel. So one day it was broken. It was because I bought it used, the second hand. And because Apple at that point in time, they just entered China, so they didn't have an official presence and places for you to fix them. So I checked on YouTube how to fix it. I ordered the part from Taobao. So Taobao is the eBay version of China, right? Managed to get the parts quite easily, fix it. Said, hey, if I'm looking for this service, perhaps somebody else is looking for. So I advertised my service on the local classified. It was an English classified targeting the expatriates in Beijing.
Right.
So the next day, an American guy contacted me. He said, hey, I have 2 iPods with me. Can you fix it? Said yes, okay. But I told him that I don't have a shop. Do you mind if you meet at Starbucks? So we went to a local Starbucks. He was there. He brought his iPods. He handed them to me. I look at it, pretending I know how to fix it. Then I brought them home, ordered the parts and fixed. Then I built a website from there. Then long story short, In that website, I provided tutorials to people how to dismantle your iPod or iPhone, how to jailbreak your iPhone. So for some reason, my website ranked to one of the highest ranked website in terms of iPhone related repairs and hardware. I think it's like page one and rank number one or number two. So that's how I ventured into this accidental entrepreneurship where my customers came from all around the world. So they were shipping their phones to me, their iPods, and I was fixing them and shipping them back. Yeah, so then I get to learn more about content, customer service, e-commerce, social media, many things. Yeah, so
Right.
so that's
How long were you doing that, and why did you stop?
3-4 years.
3-4 years.
3-4 years before we decided, as in my wife and I decided to come back to Malaysia and to start. So that actually helped for us to have that fun to restart our life again.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah. So that's how it was, and so a lot of things, right? Like just like what Steve Jobs said, you have to be able to learn how to connect dots, and you must be able to look back because you can't connect the dots by looking forward. You can only connect the dots by looking backwards. So with all the knowledge that I had acquired and built, I think that actually helped me to build what I'm building today, and I'm also in the process of building bigger things in the future. So hopefully that can happen soon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Nice. And then when you came back to Malaysia, you were with, I think you were a few places. You were in Magic,
Correct?
Cyberview, and Aerodyne.
Yes, that's right.
Right. And what is the? I mean, now obviously you're doing your own thing, but from working in another company, were there interesting things you learned from this experience that you can still use to?
Oh yes, many. In fact, the reason why I started my company today is to solve the problems that I see in the market. Working at Magic before, I think for context, Magic was the agency that looks after the tech and startup ecosystem in Southeast Asia. Of course, it was government funded back then, but we were looking into Southeast Asia. So I was part of the team which built the accelerator programs to get entrepreneurs from all around the world to build their startup here in Malaysia. So we meet a lot of founders, building interesting stuff, listening them to pitch, building pitch decks, partnership, raising funds. So we learn all of that. Then when I was with Cyberview, I was in charge of the innovation side, running smart city programs, also running an accelerator program. So again, when I was working with at least with these two government-linked companies, there's always this one big problem. Entrepreneurs which have great products, great services, but they struggle how to sell.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't know how to do storytelling. They don't really know how to do marketing. And that's normally people say one of the things why startups fail, right? So I said, okay, maybe through what I'm building today with my social presence and close to about half a million followers today across platforms, said how can we help them through the knowledge that I've built and help them build their online presence as well. So that's really what I learned.
Right.
To put it very simply.
Okay. And what was that moment? Because the last place you worked at before you came out was an Aerodyne, right?
Yeah.
So what was that moment you kind of knew, it's time to do your own thing?
Like many entrepreneurs, I guess it's a gut feeling, I feel. But of course, there was a story to that. Because I was trying to grow my platforms, right? My social platforms. Like I was growing on Facebook, growing on Twitter. But at one point in time, I was trying to grow my Twitter because it had only like 1,000 followers back then. Said, how do I grow this? Because I've tried many things, didn't seem to work. Then one day, so this is related to Moa, I said, is there a Malaysian working at NASA? Yeah, so I googled it. Yes, of course, there is a Malaysian working at NASA. So the lady, her name is Florence Tan, and she's actually from Moa. So she She went to the US, studied there, then did an internship at NASA, and eventually she spent about 30 over years working there at NASA. So she became the deputy chief technologist at NASA. And she does amazing things. So you can imagine she builds devices that get installed on spacecrafts, and these spacecrafts are sent to planet Mars and Jupiter, to all these planets around the galaxy. So her story was only mentioned in NASA's website. So hey, no one is telling her story. Why don't I tell her story on Twitter? So I posted that story on Twitter using my own voice and narrative, using the thread format. So for some reason, that story went viral.
Oh, wow.
So then I used the same way to find more Malaysians overseas. Quite a lot of them, right? Using that same method, and then my Twitter was growing very quick. I grew like from 1,000 to about 10,000 followers in about 1 month.
Wow.
Yeah. So using that principle, they said, hey, this seems to work. So maybe this is really an opportunity to help entrepreneurs to grow their online presence as well.
Right.
So that seems to work. So even for today, we have some great use cases that we can really showcase to our potential clients that this is the way to go. I mean, the world that we live in today, even the young people, right? So we know people go to social media. That's where the attention is today. And if you use the right way to do storytelling, I think it's a great way to do marketing, and you can attract the right audiences to your platforms.
Right.
Yeah.
And I suppose Malaysians love hearing about other Malaysians doing well, especially if they haven't heard of this person before.
That is true.
It's inspiring.
In fact, there are so many Malaysians like this.
Right.
Like so many. You can't imagine. Not just here in Malaysia, but like all around the world. And I think Malaysians in many ways are extremely talented people. I think we are very unique in so many ways because of our upbringing, the culture, and we get to experience, the East and the West, and we adopt very easily. I think that's one of the things that makes us so unique. And I think with that ability, we can truly work anywhere in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and one reason why I ask you about the moment you knew it's time to come and do your own thing, and then obviously you worked in different companies before, is I have a sense that a lot of young Malaysians are quite torn. I think the idea of being an entrepreneur, I think sometimes can sound very enticing and attractive. And, like you get to be, if you're lucky, on the cover of a magazine one day, but also a lot of them don't want a job, or they want to do a thing very early. Even not just an entrepreneur, I think I will be a TikTok influencer and all that, right? But working in the company may not be a waste of time, I guess, if you know
not at all.
Right.
Not at all.
Right. Well, yeah, but what's your view? Like, let's say they do decide to work for a company. Like, how do they make this decision? Do they just come out and do their thing first? If they go work for a company, how do they decide what kind of company they go in? It's a very broad question, but it comes back to, should they start their own thing, or should they just work for someone first?
I can give you my perspective. I think I already mentioned that earlier. It's really about building that skills and experiences. Imagine the skills that you're building and the experiences, they are like dots in your life. So the more dots that you create, the more things that potentially you can build in the future. So in this life, you cannot just simply focus on building one skill or just one experience. You need to be able to try many, many things and then eventually build upon that. Because, that's how life is, I believe. So I think a lot of people, they think that even if you just becoming famous enough on, say, for example, TikTok, you're already able to build a business. Of course, maybe you can, but there are so many other components in building a business, right? It's about relationship. It's about building trust, working with people, and building a team. And these are all experiences that you need. And without those experiences, I don't think you can truly run a business. And you need all these different components working together. And this takes time. Of course, you can accelerate that today from learning, but learning alone or reading is not enough. You have to do it to experience and feel it. I think that's something I feel a lot of the younger people probably need to know. I feel, right? I'm just talking from my perspective. Things can change, but I think that's the underlying principle that people have to understand. So if somebody works at corporate, totally fine. Maybe you can spend the weekends doing a side gig, just like what I used to do. So concurrently learn a few things at work, your official working place, and also afterward.
Right. And that's how you learn, right? And I also agree that, I mean, actually knowledge is everywhere. You can read about things, but I don't know how many books I've read in my lifetime, and I probably retain or practice very little of it. At the end of the day, you have to kind of live it.
Yes.
Right? You have to
Yes,
kind of
you have to
practice
live it.
it,
Correct.
right? In order to really learn something.
100%. That's how it is. Yeah. And you're right about today. Knowledge and information is everywhere. I mean, we can just open our ChatGPT app. But ChatGPT can give you endless information. But how do you focus on that information and to build something? And that is something that I think a lot of people are not doing. They just consume, and not building.
Right.
And I remember there's this phrase, somebody, I don't know who mentioned this. What used to be impossible now becomes hard. And what used to be hard now becomes easy because of the tools that we have today. And I believe today we live in the world of execution.
Right.
If we can execute, we can build more things. Right. And I think that's the wonder that we have today. Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure you've worked with many Malaysian businesses and entrepreneurs or founders on their content, like online and all that. So, without obviously revealing names and all that, but just what do you notice or sense is like a common mistake, a very big, like a most common mistake that a lot of these brands and founders make on social media right now?
I think I'm talking from the marketing perspective, because I believe at the end of the day, whatever you build, you need to market something, right? You need to market your product or your services. I think a lot of them focus too much on the product itself. And I know this when we deal with technical founders. They're so passionate about building the product, they forgot how to sell it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it doesn't matter when your product, how amazing it is, but if you don't know how to sell, nobody's gonna know about it. Just imagine, like, if you think about, say, a person like Mariah Carey. She's a great singer. But imagine if she was not discovered. She probably just gonna be somewhere in that little town in the States. What a waste, right? So this is the same thing. It's just a matter of how do you put yourself out there? How do you sell your product? How do you market your product? Then, of course, in today's context, there are so many ways to do your marketing. Whether you just run your ads, or you just create interesting content that people get to discover you first. And many people also, I believe a lot of businesses today, they still rely on the path of running ads, which is nothing wrong. If you have the budget there, why not you spend it on ads? But I want to ask you, what do you normally do when you see ads on social media?
Yeah, you just skip past it.
Skip, right? Just skip. Just skip. So that's the reason. So again, it's not wrong. I mean, it's still happening. But what if you focus on building a content that people really want to watch and attract the right audience and customers using the power of storytelling? And I believe this is something that a lot of people tend to overlook. They said, "Hey, I don't have stories. I have nothing to share." In fact, everyone has something to share, actually. Like, for example, how long have you been running Hayadi?
Oh, it's the 11th year.
11 years. Yeah. Imagine those 11 years. There's so many wisdom and learning that you can potentially share with someone, right? Lots of things. It's just how do you push it out there? The same thing for many people. Imagine those people who have worked for 30, 40 years. The wealth of wisdom that they have. Wow. Can't imagine. And a lot of these knowledge, they go to the grave, not being shared with anyone. And what a waste. Wow, what a waste. So that's what I believe in. I think that's one of the most common mistakes that I feel.
Right. Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. Actually, in our early days, I mean, now we're known as Hired. Even in the early days, we were known as WOPP. But
Correct.
I have always attributed our early growth to purely on story, because I mean, we have so many dominant job platforms in Malaysia, and people always curious, how did you? You have no database, you have no brand. At the time in the early days, we also had no money. Barely. How did you kind of break in? And I just reflected back, that, I mean, I won't go too much detail in it, but the first 10 customers we acquired was just using a PDF file.
Wow.
Yeah, the website hasn't even launched yet. And Grab, who was known as My Taxi at the time, was one of them.
Early customers.
Yes, the first on the first side. I just went to them and they paid, by the way, with no database, no tag. I just showed them a PDF.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, and the PDF is about why we exist. Like, so the story of how we started was so clean, especially in early days. It was like, use your culture to attract talent. And then for the talent side, it's like, find the company, the right culture. That's it. Very clean story. Like the why we exist was so clean. And it just became almost like a mission, like a movement.
Wow.
And we just grew organically a lot. Over the years, we raised VC money and
Yes, of course.
got a bit spoiled spending on
I see.
marketing.
Okay.
But in the last 2 years, I think we've gone back to our roots.
That's nice.
Yeah, we're very much focused on the story now,
Okay.
rather than just like throwing money and like driving growth, So, but I resonate with what you're saying. Like storytelling is very powerful.
It is.
You can throw ad money at it, but it just doesn't. It feels more transactional with the ads,
That's true.
right? Whereas the stories really stay with people.
Correct. And it helps to build the brand value also, I believe. So in the end, you can be even more valuable than the typical recruitment agencies out there, because people see your stories, right? They see the value, and that's how you actually increase the value of the company. I feel that's how it is.
Right. I want to go back to like how you started building a following. So you did mention, obviously you founded Malaysia, worked in NASA, and that kind of grew, right? And then it got to, I think you started from 1,000 followers, and after a couple of months, you had over like 200,000 or something across all different platforms.
Yeah, both of that actually took time to build. But in the early days when I did not have any intention to grow followers in the beginning. But I remember there was this one day many years ago, more than 10 years, how can I inspire more people? But of course, at the same time also, I was attached to Magic back then. We were trying to promote some of the programs. So of course, we can't be relying 100% with the marketing teams, and how can we also promote this on our platform? So I took the opportunity, although it's not my job to promote the program, but of course, you want to be useful, right? So I had that mental mode. Okay, why don't I promote this program on my platforms? And of course, that actually creates some engagement. But if you purely just post on you're promoting a program, I get to learn back then, you won't get that traction. So then I started to, use the storytelling approach, showcasing the founder stories. Then of course that started to create some traction. And even at one point in time say, hey, this is actually quite cool. So what I did was back then, I also reached out to 50 entrepreneurs. So this was one of the growth hacks that I tried. 50 entrepreneurs that were part of Magic's program, or some of them are not. They said, hey, can you give a one inspiring quote? So I compiled 50 of these, posted on my Facebook, it went viral. Yeah, so each founder gave an inspiring quote about whatever they're building. So that also became the fundamental to what I do. Then of course throughout the years I tried with many different types of content. Sometimes it's just curating content from what I've seen on the internet and just repost them. So many ways, right? So these are all the different things that I've tried over the years. So I grew my Twitter, grew my Facebook, TikTok. So even TikTok was quite interesting. I was trying to grow my TikTok as well. Of course, I can't dance, right? Can't dance,
the AI make you dance.
Yeah, can't make funny videos. So what I did was said, how do I do this? I've been wondering because it's short videos, right? So back then I was already growing my Twitter, and because it's a storytelling post, said, hey, why don't I just turn whatever I've written into a script? So what I did was very simple. Whatever I've written became my script, and I just recorded myself, and then put a virtual green screen on by using the TikTok app, and then just narrate the story that I have written that have already gone viral. So the same thing. So I grew like 30,000 followers in 1 month on TikTok.
Oh, wow.
So that was also, of course, at that point in time, TikTok was very generous with the algorithm. So they promoted a lot of content. So you were able to grow quite easily. Yeah. So again, this is really about testing out, experimenting, see what works, see what doesn't work. So the last 2 days, I've also experimenting a new format on my social media, where I took the inspiration from Humans of New York. Humans of New York, they have about 12 million followers. They always highlight the human stories. So speaking to New Yorkers, what were these stories? Then I discovered their last few videos, they interviewed people on the street, homeless people, no ordinary New Yorkers, and using a format that is not that kind of fast cut. It's like calm, people just talk about it, one shot. And one video, I think they have like, I can't remember, it's like 1 million likes or something like that. I know it's big. So the last few days I met this guy. He sells pisang goreng, fried bananas. And how he started was, he said, so what I did was, while he was making this fried banana, right, I shot a video of him. So the good thing is he was able to really articulate quite clearly. So he said he was trying to find a business idea for his in-laws, and then of course he suddenly ventured into fried banana because he learned from a company that's already selling fried banana. And then eventually he was able to grow the business. Now he's been running it for the last 10 years. And his background is actually in oil and gas. And back then in 2016, there was a huge drop in the price of oil. So probably he was also losing his income back then, because they were downsizing, people were selling their assets. So he wanted to find another way to get some income, right? So that became his story. I shoot it. So I think today it has like 50,000 views. So it is a long form video, about 2.5 minutes, which most people probably wouldn't want to watch. But for some reason that video went quite viral, 50,000 now.
Wow.
On Facebook. So I'm gonna try that over the next 1 or 2 months, see if it works. I have already a lineup of people. I'm just gonna feature them on my platforms. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You seem to have quite an eye for stuff like that, because as in like you notice what format works and then you experiment.
Yes,
right?
yes. So whatever we experimented, then we try to bring that to our clients. So this is what I believe when they hire us, right? It's not about creating content, but what is that high level strategy and thinking, which sometimes even AI cannot do yet. Yeah.
Right.
So that can only happen through your, of course, years of experience, building skills, and the dots that I was talking about.
Right. Yeah. I've two questions related to what you just said, actually.
Yeah.
So I think earlier on you mentioned about, you made a reference to how TikTok's algorithm was very generous in early days and maybe now not so. I mean, we are very active on social media also, and I find that it's very inconsistent. Sometimes a piece of content, especially on TikTok, like you can do very well on Reels.
Yes.
But on TikTok, like barely.
I know.
And there's like, what happened? Like that. So from a content quality point of view, they shouldn't be too different, but the performance so vague.
It varies. It's very hard to predict. No one can really truly predict.
Right. So it's like, what's your view on the TikTok algorithm now?
Of course, it changes over time. I mean, the bigger you are, I feel that the more that they want you to sort of like pay for, which I don't do. I fully rely on organic content. So the approach has to be different. Maybe the story needs to be different. Maybe the content side, probably more entertaining side. I do not know, but we always focus on creating three types of content, which is educational, inspirational, or entertaining. Yeah, so I think most people would create entertaining content, which is the easiest thing to do. But to focus on educational and inspirational, that's actually quite hard. And I focus on this educational and inspirational. So although sometimes I do post cat videos or cat photos on my platforms to make it something like that to make it entertaining. But again, even platforms like TikTok, they always say that focus on original content, focus on storytelling, because that's really the way to go. Yeah.
Right. And you mentioned just now that obviously you saw this style from Humans of New York recently that did very well, and you say 1 million likes or something.
Yeah.
Where is this million likes? Is it on Facebook, Instagram?
On Instagram.
On Instagram.
Instagram alone is 12 million.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and also because I'm trying to grow my Instagram right now. It's the platform that I have been neglecting for quite some time. As I was growing on the platforms, then I saw that Instagram is actually a great place because a lot of the people, I think at least people who potentially can become my clients, they are there and with a higher buying power compared to TikTok at this point in time. So I'm trying to grow that platform. Of course, I would check what content is performing, what's really doing well, experimenting a lot of different types of content. So recently I also posted about the story of Crybaby. Do you know Crybaby? Probably the younger ones, the interest they would know. So Crybaby, the story was founded by this Thai lady. Her nickname is Molly. So Molly lost her dog in 2017, I think. So like in Asian culture, right? People will say, "Hey, don't cry lah, stop crying." That's, I think, the typical Asian culture, which I feel. I mean, even if you were growing up, your mom will also say, "Hey, stop crying." But then, as an Asian person like Molly, she said, we should be given that opportunity to cry, to express ourselves. So because she's an artist, and then she said, okay, now I'm going to produce something, an artwork of that IP, which is a girl crying. So you can see the huge teardrops in her eyes. So she grew this IP, and eventually they worked together with Pop Mart, and she grew huge. I think she became a billionaire already, I think, through that. So I posted that story, how it started, on Instagram. Now it has about 250,000 views. And it's being shared by so many people around the world. And even Molly himself found the content. And she left a comment and said, Ines, of course, said, thank you for what you do for the world, something like that.
Oh, right.
And so I think it's an amazing opportunity. Instagram, I think it's a great platform for growth. So that's why I'm going to focus there. And hopefully can reach up well.
Interesting. Yeah. Right. I mean, Humans of New York was maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah. Brandon Stanton, I think his name, the founder.
It was huge on Facebook. I almost forgot about them. I actually didn't realize they're very big on Instagram.
They're big. So I think, just go and have a look again. I think it's quite inspiring. It's like, and I like this kind of story. It's not about the people who have made it, right? It's about everyday people, which I believe they have equally great stories that can be shared. Oh. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh. And what do you think is harder than it looks when it comes to creating content online? Like most people misunderstand. They think it's easy, but actually it's harder than I think.
If you talk about short videos, the editing is hard actually.
Oh, is it?
The editing is hard. How do you make sure that people want to continue watching? And of course, over the last few years, this fast cut, and it's the thing, right? But I feel that people probably got tired of it. People probably want a calmer kind of videos, which how Humans of New York is doing it at the moment. So that's why I'm trying to see if that works for this kind of audience in Malaysia.
Right.
So we don't know yet. At least I know that fried banana guy, his content seems to work. 50,000 views. So maybe that would work. So I feel that's probably one of the misconception. People think it's easy, and they said normally when when people hire us, and especially some of the ignorant founders, of course, some of them are not my clients anymore because of how they were quite ignorant in a sense. Said, "Oh, it's so easy. You just create lah." Of course, it's not that easy. I mean, you can go viral quite easily, right? Even if you say, "Hey."
So you cancel, right?
No, you just go naked on the street and you will go viral immediately.
Right.
But of course, we don't want to do that. We want to be useful and purposeful. So it's not that easy, actually.
Right.
It takes a bit of thinking, and sometimes you don't want to create something that already 1,000 people have been creating, right? So how can you create something that captures people's attention? How do you make sure that people stop scrolling? And I think through all my years of experience building a content, I actually built a framework. I call it the Curse Scroll Index. So there's like 7 different parameters. How can you make the content work on social media? Yeah. So that framework is only offered for my masterclass. So I just did it about 2 weeks ago. I went back to Sabah. I introduced it for the first time to 9 people. So these are 9 Sabahans who want to create something on social media, and they wanted to learn. So that was my first time ever revealing the framework to them. And I think it's quite relevant because it talks about being consistent, storytelling, how do you capture the attention, those kind of things. And relevance. And
oh, interesting. Why in Sabah? Out of curiosity.
Because I had a meeting in Sabah. They said, "Hey, since I have extra time, why don't I organize a masterclass?" So I did it on the go. 1 week before I flew to Sabah, started to promote. I managed to get, supposed to be for 10 people, managed to get 9 because it's quite premium for, and thankfully about 9 people signed up. It was great. It was about 4 hours, which I run in a small group of people in a small training room. And I know a few of them have started churning out content non-stop. So I'm quite impressed with them. They're truly dedicated churning out content and so this.
Oh wow, so interesting. There really is a lot of like founder-driven content now.
Yeah, it is. That's a lot. So
yes. What would you say to that young Malaysian that say they thought about creating content, but they think that they're not interesting enough, right? Like they might, okay, look, I'm not Timothy Kia. I don't have a story. I'm not an entrepreneur or some CEO. I don't have anything to talk about. Maybe their niche is too small, and therefore they don't do it, right? Let's say they don't take that step.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
If you talk about young people, right, I think young people probably are more daring to create content and to show what they can to the world, right? Compared to the slightly older generations, which I believe are more reluctant. And surprisingly, these are the people who have experiences and skills. And I said, no, it's okay. I don't dare to put my face in front of the camera. Those are normally the things that I hear. But young people, I think they have no problem. It's just that they probably have not gone through the level of building that experiences and skills compared to the slightly older generations. And of course, in today's context, there are so many ways to create content. You can, go on the creating content that entertains people, and which is the easiest path. And if you have that additional talent, I know some people create dancing videos and teach people how to dance, right? And I know those who are into lifestyle, they would probably teach you how to do makeup, which is totally fine too. But creating content that is inspirational and educational, those are probably slightly harder, I feel. And naturally, people go to social media not to really learn, but to be entertained, to social life. And so you have to be on that thinking mode. So that's why it's much easier to create entertaining content, funny content. It's so easy to do. Those kind of interview on the streets, random people, easy to do, I feel. But the kind of content that I create, I think it's harder to get the audience, I feel. So I think for young people, I think there's still, I feel the opportunity here. They can teach older people how to create content. I think that's probably the opportunity is because they have the skills, but probably they need the knowledge and wisdom from older people. I think maybe that's the way that they can work together.
Right. Makes sense what you're saying, actually. Like, you're right. Actually, it's the reverse, which relates to my next question.
Yeah.
Because you've been putting your face on social media for some time, and my face is on social media.
Yep.
So I do understand sometimes that, even admittedly, I will write something and it can look a little bit cringe, or I can write something, I write something, I regret it and I leave it there. Or I write something and let's say people don't engage with it.
Yep.
And there's a certain sense of I don't feel like that too much, but I can imagine that your self-worth is sort of attached to the reaction that you are getting, right?
Yes.
And therefore, imagine you're a CEO of this big company.
Yeah.
And, you're obviously very well regarded, you're a high status person. And you put your stuff there and like two people, like it's very, a very scary thought.
I understand.
Right?
I understand.
How do you personally feel about it, and what would you say to someone like that?
Okay. So for me, right? Just think about it like you're creating your own album, music album. Not unless if you're Taylor Swift, then maybe every song that you release would become a hit. But think about it that like not every post is gonna be a hit. Yeah. But it is really about being consistent. And this is gonna be part of the bigger things that you're building. So that's why I think a lot of founders and CEOs, they try one thing, then it doesn't work, and they just stop. But it's really about putting yourself out there over and over again, learn from it, look at the data, and that's the beauty of the platform so that you can view the analytics, right? What makes people want to engage with your content, or at least you can see how many views you get for this, how many views you get for the second post. And you can sort of understand normally the kind of content that performs is content that actually doesn't sell. It's not to sell something. It's about your life. It's about what you learn about, again, goes back to the storytelling, right? And again, as I said, maybe you put it the first time, don't worry. If there's no engagement second time, don't worry, just keep on doing. And I've seen many creators, especially someone who is probably over 50 and 60. There are quite a few of them on LinkedIn, at least I know, constantly churning out content, doesn't matter what. And I know they're building slowly over time.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right. How do you tackle that self-worth feeling? So, as an example, I have this. I see a lot of like people posting online now, more and more. But how do I put this? I think they're being safe. I can see like they're being safe. Right? Sometimes when people write, it's like very safe. And what I mean, and again, this is just my guess because obviously I post up online too.
Yeah,
is the feeling that if you put something out there and you make a lot of effort and it doesn't do well, again, like you attach yourself with I suck, and or like people think, you're trying to be famous or what? You have this like self-talk in your mind, and then they post something that's safe, like maybe they promote their product or something, and if no one engages, like it's alright. I would expect people to engage, but they're not really achieving the goal that you want. Right?
I think this is where people say overthinking.
Right.
Yeah, it's really hard to overcome. I can understand that, and it's also tied to what I normally say about, they call it the creator's paradox. Do you know what it means?
No.
The more time that you spend on a content, the lesser it will perform. Yeah. But the lesser time you spend on content, the more likely it will perform. Yeah. So this is what they call the creator's paradox. And it happened to me many times. And one time I was in KLCC. I was in KLCC, and as I was walking off E38 on the second floor or first floor, if I look to the right, there are actually 3 Malaysian coffee shops. I think Kenny Hills, San Francisco Coffee, and Zeus Coffee or something. So that actually itself is a point of view, right? So as I was walking out, so I took that photo and posted on Twitter, X, without thinking. Said I'm just put a word there, proud of these Malaysian companies, and that post has had 1 million views just by doing that, and it took me like 5 seconds. Seriously.
Amazing.
And their content, I spent 2 hours, 3 hours editing, hoping that it would work. 100 views, 200 views. So again, don't overthink. In fact, people don't actually think too much about you. Like, not that you expected. People are actually busy thinking about themselves actually. Yeah. So in that sense, how do you create something, a story or a post that make your viewer or audience see themselves in that post or in that story? Make it about them. Make it about the audience. And I feel that's how you can actually attract engagement, readers.
Yeah. Right. What? I love that. What's called the creators paradox?
Creators.
Creators paradox.
Creators paradox.
I see. The reason why I love that because I've recently experienced it too. I mean, I create a lot of content that there's 2 that did particularly well recently, like on my own kind of founder-driven page. But both were recorded off the cuff. Like literally, there was one where I remember one member of my senior staff just resigned. I was slightly emotional. So it was the evening I recorded it on my desk.
All right.
It was like a 30-second video and it kind of blew up.
Wow.
And then recently after gym, I remembered, as I was walking to the car, I had a thought.
Yeah.
I had a thought about work life, like what was it like to work and get promoted. And I sat in my car and I recorded it in 30 seconds or 1 minute.
Yeah.
And then I posted, and then that was it. Like, it was so weird,
It's not weird. That's how it is.
Right.
The simpler it is, storytelling. Those are both storytelling, right? And it's off the cuff. It's not being planned. You just put it out there, and people can see themselves in that content for sure.
Right.
People can feel, okay, I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs and founders, they can resonate, especially if you have a staff who have been with you for quite some time.
Right.
I mean, we can't prevent people from leaving the company, right? But you can retain them as long as possible. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs can feel that. I can feel that too.
Right.
Yeah, and then of course the second thing that you mentioned about, totally.
I suppose people can feel the authenticity through the video.
100%. 100%.
Like you can't act at the end of the day. I mean, again, maybe if I'm like Tom Hanks or something, but I'm not, obviously not, right? So, yeah.
And that is why there's like a trend now, at least on TikTok, people are talking about yapping. Yapping. Only the younger generations probably.
What is yapping?
You just talk to the camera and yap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, without actually scripting or anything or planning, just yap, and just post it.
Yes, post it.
For some reason, that actually works. I mean, a lot of this happens in the Western world,
right?
But of course, normally, eventually, it will come out to this part of the world.
Right.
I think that's one.
That is interesting. I got 2 last questions for you, Rich.
Sure, of course.
The first one is in terms of staying relevant on social media. There are so many people that, during the early days of TikTok, there were people that blew up and became super famous.
Yes.
And even YouTube, Instagram, every social media platform has different cycles.
Yes, correct.
Right? Then there's those early influencers get very famous, but eventually they kind of disappear.
Yeah,
right?
Yes,
there's so many times I randomly say, hey, what happened to this person that was very famous on IG last time? And I don't see them so active anymore. And what is the problem with the algorithms, I suppose, and it's not a problem, it's a feature probably, is that you keep on having to work very hard to stay relevant. There's that pressure to stay relevant, right? And again, everything's still tied for your self-worth.
Yes.
How do you personally or even help companies or founders through the pressure of staying relevant?
I think at the end of the day, staying relevant, it's not always about chasing trends. Of course, leveraging on trends are very important. It's important so that your content or whatever gets seen, right? But at the end of the day, what is the value that you're trying to promote? What is your self-worth, and how your audiences can feel that you are truly doing this not just for the fame or for the money? What is the true value? I think that is something that I feel many of us can do, trying to build upon that. I think that is more sustainable in the long run. So that's why when you asked me just now, how are you? I said, sustainable. I think in that sense, you can truly build something that lasts, right? I mean, trends can happen, trends can go out very quickly. You can, be famous at this point in time, but lose your fame. I mean, everything's a cycle. But if you build a solid foundation, teach people, educate people, inspire people, then of course you entertain. I think that's probably a one way to stay relevant in this space and keep on learning. I think learning is everything also. To be able to learn from others, how do you truly make yourself valuable and useful to your audiences? And I believe I've done this for quite some time. I'm not saying that I'm famous. I'm not, I think. But I believe I'm building something meaningful. And people want to be part of this, I feel. Yeah, I just met somebody today, this morning, a Malay guy, a tech founder. He's been following me for the last 3 years. He said he likes what I do. And when I met him, he said, yeah, we're exploring on how to work together. And I think that is something that is built not within one day. Takes years, like he said, 3 years, right? 3 years. So you have to imagine that sense. If you're trying to build something really quick, it can go very quickly as well. But just like you have built this for 11 years, I'm sure there's a lot of values that you can contribute and bring this to your potential clients and to the people you work with. And I feel that is more sustainable, right? Because a lot of people, they just create content, say, I want to be famous. It's easy to be famous, actually. But what is the value that you truly bring to the world? I think that what makes it different. Yeah.
Love it. I'm going to end with a personal question to you.
Of course.
So, Richard asks, if you compare to the boy who lived in Tawau before the internet to where you are today, how do you reflect on the journey you've had so far, and related this, where do you see yourself going after this?
Okay. I think, growing up in a place, in a small town, where there was a lot of limitation compared to people who live in big cities, but we still can build something. I think that's something that I can truly prove that, you can always build something, even there were limited resources. At the end of the day, it's really about the mindset. Yeah, so that's why I put a lot of mindset kind of posts, articles, and on my social media content as well. So it's not just about talking about entrepreneurs or talking about businesses, but what is the mindset that you need to be able to build something meaningful in this world. And I always tell people that every person in this world, they have a purpose, but not everyone would have the privilege to discover that. And they are not able to discover that because they don't try things, or even they try things but they give up too soon. But if everyone truly found their purpose in this world, I think this world's going to be a really, really great place to live. Yeah. So by reflecting on that journey, I see that learning is very important. You need to continuously learning, doesn't matter what. You need to be able to be coachable as well. Yeah. I think I met some people, they feel that they know everything, and it's very hard to coach them, or even they're not open to unlearn things. And this is something that I want to build in the near future, because this agency today, it's not the thing that I'm truly building, because I'm planning to build an academy for entrepreneurs and creators, where people who have done it, like yourself, can be part of that platform and offer that lessons to people who want to learn. Yeah, say for example, you want to offer a course that says, how do you build a recruitment agency for corporates? Example. Yeah. And you can offer that on my platform, and you can list it out. You can show your credentials, and people can upvote whether they want to be part of join that lessons or not. And once we have enough, say for example, you want to offer this to 10 people. Once we have 10 people and people can pay, and you can run it. So that's what I'm building right now. I'm building the MVP. Hopefully I can start in June.
Oh, love
Very, very soon. Just the MVP. Hopefully, yeah, people can be part of that platform, and everyone can offer something that they have built. So, getting this knowledge is very easy today. You can just ask AI or like, how do I build a company? But we want to learn from somebody who have done it, like yourselves. And a local context, a Malaysian who have built it, not like an American guy who have built a company, because he probably wouldn't understand the Malaysian landscape, but you understand. Yeah. And I want people like you to be part of that platform if possible. And I think we can enrich so many lives, not just people here in Malaysia, but in this region, and always believe in Southeast Asia.
Right.
So that is the journey that I'm reflecting.
That's very interesting.
Yep.
Does this platform have a name yet, or you reveal it in June?
I mean, to put it very simply, it's just gonna be called RK Academy.
RK Academy, right? Okay. Nice. No, I really like what you're doing. As in, I understand what you mean, because, say, I do use AI a lot.
correct.
So sometimes when there's a issue I'm trying to overcome,
Yes.
if I ask the AI a question, then you give me some ideas and suggestions.
Correct.
But what I find is that just remove AI for a while. Right? If I speak to my different entrepreneur friends,
Yeah.
I would not be surprised sometimes if their opinions even contradict each other.
Could be, yeah.
Also, as
Yes.
like everyone seems to have a different way they would
That's
solve
true.
different problems,
Yes.
and it comes down to maybe their own value system or their beliefs and all
Yeah.
that. And so when I'm going back to the AI, even when I'm talking to AI, sometimes I would ask them like a question: how would like Steve Jobs solve this? Or how would Mark Zuckerberg solve it? As an example,
Yeah,
Jeff
yeah,
Bezos.
yeah.
And the answer is always different. So my point being is, to your note, that if you are thinking about how these American entrepreneurs might solve a problem, maybe the answer is not as specific or relevant to
Correct.
the local context.
Local context, yeah.
Right? So you can actually hear how a local person in Malaysia,
That's
how they would approach it.
Yes.
That would probably be more relevant
That's
and
true.
more useful.
That's why you see big companies like Uber trying to enter this market. It's just not a copy paste model. It works, of course. It works in certain countries, but because it's so diverse here, and so diverse in this region in Southeast Asia. So I think that is the opportunity that probably needs to be filled. And with my current audience, I believe it's I truly can leverage on them. I know that a lot of them are already people who have built something, entrepreneurs who have run many, many things. And I know that a lot of people want to learn from that platform. So I think it's already validated. It's just, putting it together. Yeah.
Love it. Well, I
Yeah.
look forward to see it launch in June.
Hopefully we're going to offer it to a small group first just to test it out. But yeah, if you want to be part of it, just let me know.
Sure, I love yapping.
Yeah, yeah.
Yapping's my hobby.
How do you yap, right? I think that's probably a topic as well. And yeah, that's why I said even the younger people can be part of this. They can teach and you never know.
Sure. Yeah, sounds great.
And everybody wins. Everybody makes money.
Hitting money is good. Right. Thank you, Richard,
Thanks,
for coming.
Dory. Yeah.
Thanks for joining our show. And look forward to see that new platform launching.
Okay.
Cool.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
Yeah. Wish
Thanks.
you all the best, man.
Thank you. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us and getting to the end of the episode. If you like this, follow us or hit the subscribe button. It will help us bring on more amazing guests and makes the whole show better for you. So thanks again and see you in the next one.